when they consider something as that serious, then all options are on the table.
There's something very unstable about civilization. That means it doesn't go on for long.
Julian Assange gave his final warning for humanity. The window for truth is closing, and once it shuts, it won't reopen.
I can't tell you what it's like to wake up one day and see millions of websites saying that you are millions.
How do you react to that?
Was the worst experience, I think the worst experience I've ever had in my life was to see that. To wake up one morning and to see the Swedish tabloids reporting that there was a manhunt for a double violent, a manhunt. And that neo-McCarthyist absolute hysteria, calling for my assassination, calling for the kidnapping of our staff, putting bills into Congress to declare all our staff enemy combatants that could be assassinated at will.
I viewed that as redneck rather than real.
Well, it wasn't just the rednecks, that's the problem. If you know these people, when they consider something as that serious, then all options are on the table.
Julian asserts that WikiLeaks went head-to-head with the Pentagon and CIA and faced them down successfully. Proof that even giants can bleed.
Why do you think that you're going to be able to do what you would say so many others have failed to do?
Well, look, I'm a human being too. I don't want to say that there are difficulties for everyone. But, you know, my best attribute and my worst attribute is I'm extremely stubborn. And that has enabled WikiLeaks, the organisation, to go head-to-head with the Pentagon, with the CIA, with the Department of Justice, with the White House, and we faced them down successfully.
It's very interesting, I suppose, all the means that we've come up with to deal with that environment, but they are in some sense unique to a small to mid-sized organisation operating at the highest levels, of which I'm not sure that there are any others than us. I suppose that there are some independence groups and organisations, but at least on the side, obviously it's quite a different game to the one that we're engaged in. Okay, but there is a much bigger threat to everyone.
Julian claims planetary astrophysics has revealed tens of thousands of extrasolar planets, a reminder that our world is just one small piece of a vast, uncharted map.
And yet, in the last 10 years, the astrophysics of planetary astrophysics has shown that there's tens of thousands of extrasolar planets that we have actually detected on an individual basis. And from that, you can assemble the probabilities of there being Earth approximating planets. And there's hundreds of millions, maybe billions, just in this galaxy. So the question then becomes, well, where is the civilized life? Why don't we see it? Why don't we see any signs of it anywhere? And so the answers to that are, well, it could be the reasons we don't see signs of civilized life with our increasingly powerful measurement apparatus is because life simply doesn't evolve, life itself. That's why we don't see civilized life. That there's something very rare about the Earth that means that life here evolved. But when we look at the Earth and when we look at extrasolar planets, we don't see any reason why that should be true. In fact, we see organic amino acids in space dust and asteroids and so on. And we know that asteroids cross-pollinate. For example, there's asteroids here from Mars, bits of Earth has gone to Mars, etc. when we get hit by an asteroid and stuff flies off, etc. So there's quite a lot of reason to believe that the basic building blocks of life have spread widely.
He warns there's something deeply unstable about civilization, and even more so in a technologically advanced one. The higher we climb, the harder the fall.
My view, and I think it's the only view you can take so far until more data comes in, is that there's something very unstable about civilization. There's something very unstable about technologically advanced civilization that means it doesn't go on for long. And I think the answer to that is the very rapid competition, if you like, the light speed competition that occurs when you wire up the world to itself. And that very rapid competition can have two fates. And number one, it can produce very robust artificial intelligences that are then coupled with their states. You can see that panning out in the United States and China as they each shore up. They're going to take, those two forces are going to take essentially all the market. And the rapid competition between them with the backing and support of the states behind them, and the exacerbation of the commercial competition through geopolitical competition will lead to an uncontrollable desire for growth in artificial intelligence capacity, leading to very severe conflict or stultification. There's interesting, you can follow these trajectories in different ways. It takes too long to describe. So I think that's our biggest threat. It is geopolitical competition, removing what otherwise might be sensible human controls on the development of artificial intelligence. That geopolitical competition harnessed by and itself harnessing the largest artificial intelligence companies to ratchet up a process which human beings can no longer control. Not in the sense of there being robots, although, of course, Google is now putting its AI in drones and so on, so yeah, there are killer robots. Not in this classic dystopian sense, but rather in a way that comes from understanding how human institutions behave, which is institutions that are built on competition and growing their size and dominating markets, etc., take any advantage they get, and will continue to ratchet up in competition, and everything that they produce has that DNA in it. And that's where we're headed, and that's a severe threat to human beings in general and all businesses.
Assange claims this is the last free generation. After us, every life will be tracked, logged, and monitored from birth to death.
I say that this generation, well, perhaps our generation, but anyway, this generation being born now, in seconds in most countries, very shortly in most countries, and it's already happened in say, China, most European countries, the United States, is the last free generation. You were born, and either immediately or within, say, a year, you're known globally. Your identity in one form or another, coming as a result of your idiotic parents plastering your name and photos over Facebook, or as a result of insurance applications or passport applications, transport on airlines, etc. You are known to all the world's major powers, all the world's major state powers, and all the world's major commercial powers. That's a very different situation for individuals to be in than they have previously been in. Small child now, in some sense, has to negotiate its relationship with all the world's major powers. Of course, in practice, it can't do anything. Its parents are not managing that negotiation. But it puts us in I think, a very different position in the sense that very few, in fact, maybe only a few people in this audience, very technically capable people, are able to live apart, to choose to live apart, to choose to go their own way. They must be part of not only the state, but the major state-like corporations, so powerful they may as well be states, and not just their own state, but other states as well. That's a significant change, cultural change for humanity. It smells a bit like totalitarianism in some way. Obviously, the world is different, but there's some feeling about it which is totalitarian.
We should defy bureaucracy. We should reject modernity. Embrace tradition, and you'll save the world. And they want to silence it. And that is dangerous. That's the point of no return. We lose that, there's no coming back.
Edward Snowden says no one's ready for what's coming because the surveillance state is speeding up and most people don't even see it.
When you're in positions of privileged access, like a systems administrator for these sort of intelligence community agencies, you're exposed to a lot more information on a broader scale than the average employee. And because of that, you see things that may be disturbing, but over the course of a normal person's career, you'd only see one or two of these instances. When you see everything, you see them on a more frequent basis. And you recognize that some of these things are actually abuses. And when you talk to people about them, in a place like this where this is the normal state of business, people tend not to take them very seriously and move on from them. But over time, that awareness of wrongdoing sort of builds up and you feel compelled to talk about it. And the more you talk about it, the more you're ignored, the more you're told it's not a problem. Until eventually you realize that these things need to be determined by the public, not by somebody who was simply hired by the government.
The NSA and the broader intelligence community are focused on one thing: gathering intel by any means necessary, no matter the cost to privacy or law.
NSA and the intelligence community in general is focused on getting intelligence wherever it can, by any means possible, that it believes on the grounds of sort of a self-certification that they serve the national interest. Originally, we saw that focus very narrowly tailored as foreign intelligence gathered overseas. Now, increasingly, we see that it's happening domestically. And to do that, the NSA specifically targets the communications of everyone. It ingests them by default. It collects them in its system, and it filters them, and it analyzes them, and it measures them, and it stores them for periods of time, simply because that's the easiest, most efficient, and most valuable way to achieve these ends. So while they may be intending to target someone associated with a foreign government or someone that they suspect, they're collecting your communications to do so. Any analyst at any time can target anyone, any selector anywhere. Where those communications will be picked up depends on the range of the sensor networks and the authorities that that analyst is empowered with. Not all analysts have the ability to target everything, but I, sitting at my desk, certainly had the authorities to wiretap anyone, from you or your accountant to a federal judge to even the president if I had a personal email.
What the Pegasus Project exposed is a dark industry where the only product is infection. Tools to hack, spy, and control, not to protect or secure.
This is everywhere. This is an industry that should not exist. We're seeing what the NSO group, which is sort of what the most famous of these guys, is up to. But the NSO group is only one company of many. And if one company smells this bad, what's happening with all the others? I mean, when I look at this, what the Pegasus Project has revealed is a sector where their only product are infection vectors, right? They don't, they're not security products. They're not providing any kind of protection, any kind of prophylactic. They don't make vaccines. The only thing they sell is the virus. I think it's actually worse. When I said there's a spy in your pocket, it's the potential, it's the capability, it's the fact that, these things are talking to the mobile phone network and tracking your locations. You've got, Facebook spying on you. But these are largely commercial programs for commercial purposes. What we see now are people creating an industry to hack those phones and go beyond the level of spying that already previously wouldn't have existed. And now they're actually taking control of that phone fully and turning it against the people who bought and paid for it, but no longer truly own it. And the thing is, these phones are clones. When we're talking about something like an iPhone, they're all running the same software around the world. So if they find a way to hack one iPhone, they've found a way to hack all of them. And they are doing that, and they are selling that. That is a knowing, intentional, willful attack on critical infrastructure that every one of us rely on. It doesn't matter what flag you live under, it doesn't matter what language you speak, we all have skin in this game.
Edward Snowden saw that the government wasn't just breaking the law, it was quietly violating the rights of every American, turning mass surveillance into policy.
But I saw something wrong, and I saw basically the government was violating the law, and what I believe to be the Constitution of the United States, and more broadly human rights for everyone in the United States and around the world. There were domestic surveillance programs, there were mass surveillance programs that worked internationally. Basically everything that they could monitor, they were monitoring. And this is actually, like, people go, well, isn't that obvious? Isn't that what they're supposed to do? And this is weird, but the answer actually is no. Under the framework of our Constitution, the government is only supposed to be monitoring people that it has an individualized, particularized suspicion of wrongdoing for, right? We think about this in the investigative means, right? Like all those TV shows where they're like, go and get a warrant. The reason they have to do that, like we fought a revolution over this, a couple hundred years back, is the idea that when we had, kings, when we had governments of absolute power, they could simply go in your home and go, is this guy a pot smoker? Get his diary, whatever it is. And just like if you find evidence of, you march him off to prison and it's all good. You found evidence there, or you didn't find evidence, well, no harm, no foul. You're just doing what government does. We were trying to build a better system where it went, yes, the government has extraordinary capabilities, but it only uses them where they're necessary, right? Where they're proportionate to the threat that is presented by this person. We shouldn't be afraid of the person who's got like a baggie of weed in their dresser or something like that. That is not a threat to national security. That is not a threat to public safety. You have the experts telling you to go out into the field and the sparrows. And now we're in the moment where we're waiting to see what's going to happen next. So it seems to me that the fight over Telegram, and even the EU's new chat control proposal, which if you haven't heard of it, you very much need to go and look out for it, because the EU is trying to push it again, force it through in the next few weeks. It seems to me that these proposals are less interested in surveillance than they are in control. They're laying the procedural framework for the global control of the voices of every volume.
Edward says it's not about secret chats on Telegram. It's that the authorities see people talking in ways they don't like. And that's what really scares them.
And that's what it's really about. It's not that they're worried about some secret conversation. It's not that they're trying to shake down Durov for the keys to some conversation. It's that they see people talking in ways that they don't like, ways that they consider to be misinformation, ways that they consider to be disinformation, ways that they consider to be socially harmful, that they consider to be structurally undesirable, and they want to silence it. And that is dangerous. That's the point of no return. We lose that, there's no coming back. Which brings us to modernity and all the ways that it's changing. The dollar is done. Nothing stops this train, as Lynn Alden says it. Debasement is baked into our models. We see what's happening with the percentage of currency issuance, the deficit spending. It might not happen this year, it might not happen next year, it might not happen in 5 years, but it's very clear looking at the progress of history where these things end. We are in the age of paper, but it is on the decline. It is coming to the end. It's not about any flag. It's about the method. It's what the system is built on. There is no basis, no strong foundation. We have a responsibility to be good stewards of the moment in history that has been created by us, for us, and that we will pass to others. And this is to say, when you look at everything happening, when you look at the desperation for a new control over speech, when you look at the rise of these new disruptive technologies of modernity, such as AI, the way it's evolving, it can be great for us. It can also be very terrible for us. It depends on who is holding the levers of power and how we decentralize them. When you look at the new ways consumer electronics are being turned against us, from how they used to be in small individual targeted cases to now mass broadcast level cases. And you see leaders in our space trying to reject our old traditions, the ones that are valuable, the ones that created the space. I think the lessons are clear. And this is to say that we should defy
bureaucracy. We should reject modernity, embrace tradition, and you'll save the world.